Can you remember being a kid in elementary school? There's one memory, this one situation happened multiple times that I've thought back on this a lot of times as a young adult and as an adult. And I saw this happen a lot of times. I think there's a lot to learn from this. There was a kid on the playground who did not say bad words. Everybody knew it. There was those kids who said bad words and there were those kids who didn't say bad words. This kid did not say bad words, but then one day, tired of not being as cool as some other kids on the playground, he decided to use one of those words. Welcome to the Growth and Influence Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Schultz, and this podcast is about the fascinating convergence of two massive movements or principles in our economy: persuasive marketing and selling, and personal development. The principles that lead to personal growth and happiness are not always aligned with the principles of persuasive marketing. And yet, almost anything that can serve people and the world has to be marketed. We're in search of answers. Let's go. This kid did not say bad words, but then one day, tired of not being as cool as some other kids on the playground, he decided to use one of those words. And so, just one day he would spout out a swear word. And it was over exuberant, halting, unpracticed, totally uncool. And what is seared in my mind is what happened next. And, it's a disappointing commentary on human nature. Without fail, that kid would quickly and expectantly look around and see if his station in the world had suddenly changed, as if everybody in the sound of his voice was going to suddenly be throwing him compliments and inviting him to their birthday parties. That did not happen, as you can probably guess. As a matter of fact, those who liked him before liked him less now. Those who hadn't liked him before also liked him less now. And, listen, childhood was a long time ago. Maybe that kid was you. Maybe it was me. I'm sure it was both of us at some point. We had some kind of scenario where we were demonstrating that negative aspect of human nature. And the problem is that we've never grown up. SaaS companies have been doing this same thing that this kid did for years. They have been looking to be knighted by the phantom Caesars of status and success so they can make more money, gain prestige, and get more of that something that all of us understand what it is. All of us want it, but it's hard to define and even more difficult to obtain. It's just that thing that says you're on top of the world. And you seem to think that other people have it, and you wish that you had it. In reality, they don't have it either. And when you sell your authenticity to get that thing, you're selling the only thing that actually could have given you the fulfillment that you're actually looking for. So personally or corporate-wise, you don't want to do that. This podcast is a little bit about how SaaS companies have failed to stand for anything, and therefore they have no real relevance in their market. SaaS is really in a struggle right now as an industry, and it is not simply a matter of the economy. It's a matter of this industry having certain problems that went ignored for a long, long time, because economic conditions allowed them to go ignored for a long time. So that change in economic conditions has now revealed these issues with SaaS companies, with their operations, with a lot of areas. I'm going to really hone in today on the character of these companies. As they say, when the tide goes out, everyone knows who's been swimming naked. And in SaaS, that was almost everybody for a very long time. And it almost so much. The problem is today that it didn't matter if you were swimming naked for so long, because things that shouldn't have worked were working for so long, because there were just these artificial circumstances that are now gone and probably are never coming back. But people are still wondering, when are things going to go back to the way they were before? The answer is probably never. So anyway, in pursuit of this thing that SaaS companies want, this ephemeral vision of success and status and immortality, They have made it an industry-wide policy to stand for what they thought everybody wanted them to stand for, which means they have essentially ended up standing for nothing. They all wanted to be a best place to work. How many SaaS companies ended up being a best place to work? It seems like just about every single one of them on the planet. Every single SaaS company had won a best place to work award from somebody. And, I think everybody is aware of the fact that if every place is a best place to work, then no place is a best place to work. And but that nuance seemed lost on the SaaS companies and then the entire SaaS industry for a long time. But everybody was slowly beginning to come to that realization by the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. SaaS and tech companies, another example, turn their logos rainbow color for an entire month every summer, which shows up on the personal LinkedIn profiles of every employee who works there, many of whom have no interest whatsoever in flying those colors. And the question is, what are these companies actually saying? This is what we believe? Well, who is we? Is it the founders? One of the two founders? Two of the three founders? The board who imposes those values on the founders and on the rest of the company? Is it every single person at the company believes this thing represented by this flag? Of course not. But I personally know founders who their personal values are opposed to what a lot of what is represented by those rainbow colors and what it means to fly that flag. But their companies still do the rainbow thing all month long in June every summer. On one occasion, I was physically present when a leader of thousands of employees at a tech company confided to his friend, his close friend, it was kind of an intimate conversation, and he said, I don't feel comfortable at all with this set of values that I'm kind of being forced to promote to my employees in my division. But I don't really feel like I have any option but to kind of go along with it. At its bottom, this whole movement of standing for these values at tech companies is just a calculated political move. It says nothing about the beliefs of the people who work at the company. Having become a matter of compliance, it doesn't mean anything. Whether you believe in what those colors stand for or you don't, basic moral reasoning would suggest that the only thing it signals is the absence of character. Because character would be choosing your own path and standing for what you decide to stand for. But when it's an industry-wide requirement, when it's a prerequisite to playing the game, which I think is how a lot of companies look at it these days, it doesn't mean anything. Even if you did strongly believe in those things, nobody would know because everybody has to do it. But anyways, this particular episode isn't about the issue of best place to work or about the issue of rainbow-colored flags and logos. It's about the sycophantism that has washed over the entire SaaS industry, leaving everyone looking exactly the same, not just in HR policies, but in everything else as well. Website design, marketing copy, branding, most damningly, value proposition, definition of the value that you serve to your market and how you provide that value, your go-to-market motion, your differentiation. All of those things have become a sloppy job of copy and paste. And it's obvious to anybody who's paying attention, and customers are definitely paying attention. SaaS companies seem to forget that people are watching and that there's anybody who disagrees with any of this, because when they're operating within the comfortable confines of their own industry, selling to other SaaS companies, they're just playing at a popularity contest. And you win that contest by being the most ardent, shining example of the shared values of that group. But like kids raised in the bubble of a wealthy neighborhood, the minute you venture outside of that neighborhood, everybody knows where you came from. And they don't see individuality. They see uniformity. And that's bad news for anybody who wants to create a market of passionate customers. And And so when it's time, well, I'll go into this. There's a quote I heard at a conference one time, and it is exactly what SaaS companies need to hear right now. Here's the quote: "Love me or hate me, there's no money in the middle." So not only is this about just having integrity and believing something that not everybody else in the world believes, but it's about the profitability of your company, your ability to go out and authentically show up to your audience and to your market and stand for something that feels real. Don't copy and paste your company values from everyone else in your industry. That means your company stands for nothing, and you'll struggle to capture an emotional response from anybody but the most undistinguishing crowd. Don't try to build your product, your brand, and your value for everyone. If you do that, what you'll end up with is you'll be like a vanilla ice cream cone for which nobody has any particular appetite. And, it's great, but anybody can buy it anywhere, and it's not special. If you create your company as the ultimate embodiment of every tenet and political value in San Francisco, don't be surprised when the chasm between San Francisco and the rest of the world, the rest of the economy, seems larger and longer than it should be. When you define your ICP, that is as much an exercise in deciding who you don't want to work with as it is in deciding who you do want to work with. When you craft your marketing messages, including website copy, offers, branding, emails, etc., not only is it okay for those messages to repel the market that you don't want to work with, but it is desired. That will increase the affinity that you create with the group of customers that you're really working hard to work with, that you're really working hard to bring on board as customers. Remember, love me or hate me, there's no money in the middle. I hope this has been a valuable discussion for you. I really feel like this is an important message at this point in time. And I know there may be people who aren't happy about what I'm saying here, who feel like it's insensitive or, that I'm breaking the rules. But the reality is SaaS has become a really inauthentic industry, and it's been that way for a while. And I know that there is a lot of discontent in both employees and customers of SaaS and SaaS companies that I'm familiar with. And it's time to get authentic. It's time to stop doing what everybody else does, thinking that there's just a copy and paste playbook that will take you to unicorn status. There's not. You have to know your customer incredibly well. You have to be able to serve them in a way that's authentic to you and the brand that you want to create. You have to not require compliance into a certain set of beliefs for every employee who works there, because there's nothing authentic about that. You have to start running this business in a way that just hasn't been present in SaaS for a long time. So if that's been valuable, then I'm glad. And I hope you share this with somebody else who can also get value from this. You can like this podcast. You can give it 5 stars on your podcast application, and that'll help other people find it. And you can also respond with a voice note if you're on the Spotify platform. And I'm still looking for the first voice note. Somebody leave a voice message. Tell me what you think. If you have a question, ask it. If you think that there's some value that I can add to you and something that you're trying to learn, I'd be more than happy to put that on the show. So just let me know. And if you don't want it on the show, but you want to leave a voice note, you can say that too. Just let me know and I won't put it on the show. It's been excellent having you here today. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time on the next episode of the Growth and Influence podcast.